had cases to where kids were interacting with what they thought were teenagers, and it turned out to be somebody in their mid-20s, 30s, 40s, 50s that had very bad intentions for these kids. Some of these young girls, especially, when you start telling them how beautiful they are, how much value they have, and I'm not saying they don't get that at home, but it's different when someone outside the family says it, because for whatever reason, it's very impactful. They go to meet what they think is a 13, 14, 15-year-old boy. Turns out to be a grown man that has tremendously bad intentions for your baby. That's what we're trying to avoid.
This is real. They are kids who are being exploited every day. There are groups trying to pull children into human trafficking rings.
Recently in Greenville County, we had a 14-year-old teenager, female, who was talking to a suspect using social media. He agreed to pick her up, took her to an apartment over off of Woodruff Road inside the city of Greenville. We were able to locate her safely without anything happening. But if you look at how those events unfolded and how easy it was for that to happen, this girl had no prior knowledge of this guy. The family didn't know anything about him. There's a number of our young folks in Greenville County that are talking to a stranger online and text messaging and doing all those things that we as law enforcement or the parents don't know anything about.
We've had kids who have, late at night, they'll sneak out of their home and they'll go meet someone thinking that it is another teenager and ends up being an adult. In some of these cases, we're very blessed that the kids realized something was wrong and immediately returned back home. But around the country, we can easily say law enforcement has seen these kids get abducted and be put into sex trafficking rings and moved all over the country to be exploited. We had a case in Cherokee County where one of the young kids had a app on the phone that looked just like a calculator that's on your smartphones, and behind that calculator was the pictures that they had used to send to friends and to strangers of them actually in the nude. And so it's important that these families know that there are apps out there that are specifically designed for people to hide things in.
Listen, we've lost them to sex slaves. They've been killed, they've been kidnapped. And this is something that a lot of people will never get over.
Don't give a cell phone to a child that you think may be too young, not only by number, but maturity level, and explain to them it comes with conditions, and you got a right to look at it, and you got a right to check it. It's your responsibility as a parent to be in their business and keep them safe.
When you're buying a phone for your child, you have every right and privileges by law, just as a parent, to be nosy and to find out and protect your babies. Know their passwords, It surprises me that somebody as a parent will give them a phone and they won't know how to unlock their phone.
Parents really need to stay on top of their game to make sure that they're checking their kids' phones on a regular basis. They know these hidden apps. They also need to make sure that the kids take their phones and don't let them keep it in the room all night long. Take that phone and let them charge it in your bedroom or in the kitchen, somewhere where they don't have access to it all night. I tell my son every day, I pay for your phone, and as long as I'm paying for it, I'm going to look at it, whenever I want to make sure that you're doing things that are correct and within the law.
Don't have a schedule of when you're going to check the phones. Just go check the phones.
And I would go through it with my child. If it were me, I would just randomly say, hey, let's pull out your phone and go through it and look at their history. And if they cleared their history or they're deleting messages, then you lose your phone. There's some penalty for that. I think we get a little bit too comfortable and certainly a little bit too trusting sometimes, and we think, oh, our kids would never do that, when the reality is somebody's spending more time talking to our children than we are as parents. And that's a huge, huge problem.
Kids are, at the end of the day, they're very gullible. They're very trusting of people. One
of the most violent predators we have is some very sick people who want to take advantage of profiles that look like children because they're vulnerable and they fall for it.
We do all these things, again, from the time they're in kindergarten, and we take them to the playground. Be aware of strangers, run away from strangers, people that you don't know. And then again, we teach them how to ride a bike safely. We teach them how to drive safely. But, most of us as parents, we fail miserably when it comes to handing them a device that they're connected to any person in the world. And we don't give them any safety information.
Make it a priority, to sit down at some point, one day during the week, and have that conversation, because they'll tell you, hey, this strange guy sent me a message. Y'all know who he is. let them know they can ask you that. You know, do I really have an uncle named Robert or whatever? They try all kind of tricks, and the kids need to be comfortable in asking you those questions and need to know they're not in trouble if they come to you and ask you about those things.
It's open and it's honest, and you don't have to give them so many details when they're very young, but you have to just tell them there's bad things out here. But an open, honest conversation, and don't have it just once, have it a lot.
Time is precious, so take advantage of it. Invest in our children. They make up about 23% of the population, but they're 100% of the future. It's up to us to lay that foundation for them, and it's up to us to protect them, and we're going to do it.
Parents, we have a chance to stop this. You know, this is not much of a challenge. This is just what we should be doing. You know, I'm not telling you not to let them be online. I'm not telling you not to let them be on social media. That's your choice. But we have to do a much better job at monitoring this. You know, you wouldn't give your child the keys to a car that's 12 years old, wouldn't give them keys to the liquor cabinet when they're 12 years old. So why would you possibly give them keys to something that could very much so harm them or kill them? God gave you some children. You make sure you take care of them like the jewels that they are.